Here we are with the Making Flash Components Communicate tutorial provided by masterflash.net. This video is only a sample video. This is just going to have bits and pieces of what is included in the entire 2 or 3 hour tutorial that you can find located on masterflash.net, which is where you can find all the source files and all the good stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to drop you in about maybe 10 minutes into the first part of the tutorial. That's what we're going to do first. We're going to do this all in the document class through actionscript with nothing on stage. Now, the only thing that we have to start with on stage are just some components. All right, so let's go ahead and dig out our components. And if you don't know where that is, just come up here to Window, grab your components. All right, and what we need to pull out is just a bunch of stuff. All right, we're going to drag out a button. Obviously, I can't drag it out on a lock layer. All right. Button, let's see, combo box, data grid, label, text input, and I think that should be good for now. The data grid is basically what we're going to use for the, well, not necessarily. We're going to actually match up the data grid with as the data provider in this, the way it's displayed. So, once you have all that stuff in your library, make sure that you've got it all in here. Alright, button, combo box, data grid, label, list, text input. This is more for the data grid. Alright, so let's go ahead and delete this off. And since we're doing this through the document class, what we have to do is get our properties panel out. So go ahead and dig that out. If you don't know where to find that, just come on up to Window again, select properties. And we're going to be working with this actionscript file right here. So of course it's in the same directory. So all I'd have to put is the name of this, comp_com_controller. Alright. And once you get that set up, we can go ahead and jump inside of our actionscript file. Alright, so let's go ahead and get rocking on this one. I'm going to shut this down, get as much room as possible. Alright, to begin this, we basically have to import the button, the combo box, the data grid, the label, and the text input controls. Alright, so let's go ahead and start that off. Package, open your bracket, import fl.controls.button, semicolon, next line, import fl.controls.combo box, semicolon, import fl.controls.datagrid, semicolon, import fl.controls.label, semicolon, import fl.controls. What do we have? Text input, semicolon. All right, to go ahead and pull in our data provider stuff, we need to say import fl.data.dataprovider, semicolon, next line, import flash.display.sprite, semicolon, import flash.events, dot asterisk, semicolon, import flash.text field auto size, which is basically for us setting up the text inside of some labels and things like that. All right. Okay. Of course, as usual, working with the document class, what we have to set up for our public class is the same name as our actionscript file. So go ahead and put public class comp_com_controller extends sprite. Open your bracket. Okay. And for this first part, I'm just going to kind of roll through all the private var that we need to create. All right, and then obviously we'll get into some of our main build and the basics. All right, so let's go ahead and set this up. Private var. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. We're going to be typing that a lot right here. Name_txt, colon, text input, semicolon, private var, at bats. _txt, colon, text input, semicolon, private var hits _txt, colon, text input, semicolon, private var American underscore DG colon data grid, semicolon, private var, let's see, American underscore DG underscore lineup, colon, what is this, data provider, semicolon, all right, private var national underscore DG colon data grid. I'll get into these names in a second. Private var national underscore DG underscore lineup colon data provider, semicolon, private var leagues combined underscore DG colon data grid, semicolon. All right, private var leagues underscore CB for combo box, and private var submit underscore BTN colon button. All right, so basically I'll run through these names. For the text input right here, what we're going to be doing this is basing this off of, I guess, baseball players, all right? And this would basically be for somebody to be able to punch in the amount of at-bats, all right, and the amount of hits, okay? And the American DG is basically going to be, we're going to allow them to select what league the player is in, all right, which of course in Major League Baseball you have the American League and the National League. So we're going to have this set up as the data grid, and of course the data provider, what is actually going to be holding on to all the data, is going to be called the lineup, which basically will be the display of all the players that you can punch in to the app, all right? Same thing for the national, all right? Leagues combined, what this is going to be, this is sort of the combo box that sits at the bottom, all right? That basically, whenever they select American League and then they punch somebody in, all right, it's going to show up in the leagues combined, and then of course if they go into the National League and submit a player, it's going to show up in the leagues combined as well, all right? And the reason why I'm setting it up like this is because in later on in the tutorial, when we go more about customizing it and adding in all the extras, I guess in part 2, part 3, or whatever, I'm going to show you how to set it up so when you select on them, it's going to be able to bring the stats back up top. Not necessarily so you can edit it, but more so you don't have to keep typing through the same stuff. All right, we'll get to it later on. All right, so once we have that set up, let's go ahead and set up our constructor, public function, and of course this is another area where you have to name this your ActionScript file name. All right, comp controller, as in component communicator. All right, opening closing parentheses, opening bracket, next line, and we need to set up our data providers and basically the main functions of this file. All right, so we're going to say American underscore DG underscore lineup equals new data provider, opening closing parentheses, semicolon, national underscore DG underscore lineup, new data provider, opening closing parentheses, semicolon, next line, build underscore DG, opening closing parentheses, semicolon, next line, main underscore build, opening closing parentheses, semicolon, next line, closing bracket. All right, so basically what's going to end up happening, of course, it's going to pick up on all the variables that we're going to have as a part of the file. All right, and for our constructor, what it's going to do is it's basically going to build the file. Now, we've got a function here that we're going to define in a little bit, all right, that will basically be for building the data grid components, all right, and then our main build is what we're going to actually define next. What this is going to be for is actually creating basically all the components, not the components, I guess, but all the items that are going to be a part of the components and things like that. That is the end of the sample video for making Flash components communicate. You can find all the source files and all the relevant information along with the rest of the tutorial on the Master Flash site. Hope you enjoy it.